First things first, let's kick things off with the early game on Thanksgiving Day. Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. This is sitting 7.5 in favor of the Lions at home. 46.5 to 47 is our total. So, Stephen, if we take a look at this Lions team, and I think that there's something to be said for winning games in which you don't have your fastball, right? And like you came out and you see Jared Goff do what Jared Goff really has not done since he's been in Detroit, and that is go out and turn the ball over a ton, and they were able to overcome it and still win the game. And there is something to be said for that in the NFL. We see the Washington Commanders last week could not overcome 6 turnovers that they went out and committed, even though it was against the worst team in the NFL. Well, you saw the Lions be able to overcome all of those turnovers and find themselves, again, I still say, firmly in the driver's seat for the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. But here we are on the other side of a touchdown on Thanksgiving Day, short week. What do you see here in this one?
I would really like the Eagles to stop getting lucky so we could actually cash this Lions number 1 seed. That'd be a good start. But I agree with you. They should have wrecked my teasers last week, and somehow they still won that game despite 4 turnovers. So I thought they were pretty fortunate to pull that off, but I give a ton of credit to that offense. This is one of the best offenses in the league when they're at home in that dome environment. So they pull that out, a game they should have lost. If that's the floor for the Lions in most weeks against these, bottom half of the league teams in the NFL, then I really don't have much of a reason not to go back to the well with them for a teaser leg. I do still have concerns about their defense, but I had more concerns about it last week when they're facing an actual good defense in the Bears. I don't think the Packers, even though their offense has been a little bit, improved with Jordan Love, I'll admit that, but I still don't think this is a good defense for Green Bay. So this is still bottom half of the league in metrics since their bye week. They are outside the top 20 overall in EPA and success rate, 26th by drop back EPA. So I have every confidence in the world that the Lions are going to score a ton of points in this game. So taking this down to the traditional teaser leg through 7-3 seemed pretty attractive to me.
Adam, there is going to be an ungodly amount of teaser liability on Thanksgiving Day for these books. It is going to be ridiculous. I already have this teaser in my account. I feel very confident in the Lions and Niners teaser leg, and we'll talk about that game a little bit later. But you do see a team here in the Lions, and I'm not saying that, again, for just lip service. Like, I think there's something to be said for playing your C- game and still getting a win. And I understand it's the Bears, but the Bears showed signs of life last week. And there are a lot of teams in the NFL that would have lost that game to the Bears last week, despite the fact that the Bears did start to kind of shoot themselves in the foot towards the end. But that's neither here nor there. There are over half the league that would have ended up losing that game to the Bears last week. So here they are back at home with Goff in the dome, pretty healthy overall as a team, going up against a team that I just don't have a ton of respect for at this point in the Green Bay Packers.
I think where we can find a little bit more signal than in what happened in the final 3 minutes plus of that game between the Lions and the Bears is to look at where the Lions defense is overall right now, right? We knew that the offense is capable of doing what it did in coming back from a big deficit of more than a couple of scores here in the final minutes. That offense has that playmaking capability, and they got over the fact that they had those turnovers. But on the defensive side of the ball, that's where I think you have to look and say, what's happening right now, and what can I use out of that to be able to handicap this game? So if you go back to the Baltimore game, 38 to Baltimore, 14 to Vegas, but if you look at the yardage, the Vegas did have a handful of opportunities in there. They actually could have done more than they did to the Lions on offense. And then you look at them giving up 38 to the Chargers and 26 to the Chicago Bears. So how do I want to use that to come after this week? I think 47 is still a little bit high in today's NFL to be playing on the total, but I do want to be looking at some Packers props. And I hate to say this, considering what we've noticed about the guy over the first half of the season, but Jordan Love has actually found a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit over the last few weeks. He's been a league average quarterback over the last month. And right now, the passing prop is sitting at 233.5. If you can find better than that on yardage. But I think that Jordan Love is going to be called upon in this game to make a few plays. And considering the state of the Lions defense, I think it's entirely possible that there are a few plays to be made.
Yeah, I look at this and I'm sitting here. I know you say it's a little high in today's NFL. I'm tempted at the over. I think that there is a decent chance that the Lions play into the high 20s, low 30s. And as you mentioned, I mean, like, yeah, tiny bit of signs of life from the Packers here on the offensive side of the ball over a little bit. And like, we're not really asking that much if we're going to be getting that from Detroit. Right. And I see no reason with the state of the Packers defense that Detroit isn't going to be able to play into the high 20s, low 30s in this game. And if that's the case, then I don't know. I can't make a strong case for me to stay on the underside of this thing. It would be an over or pass. And certainly, you know, one of the other things that's going to be super popular here on Thanksgiving Day, and save your angry tweets, we don't care, same game parlays are going to be popular on Turkey Day. And you know, you can go in and adjust that total down a little bit, and if you wanted to take the Lions at, say, you know, under the touchdown, like -6.5, and then you could take it at over, let's call it over 43.5 or something or whatever. So there are ways that you can get creative too here on a Thanksgiving Day with these island games, which we wouldn't normally recommend, but we know you're going to be home, you're watching the games, you want to have action on the games. And so you can go in and manipulate these lines a little bit if you want to go that direction as well.
Matt, it sounds like we're all pretty much agreed that we have concerns about the Lions defense here, and that's why we're going teaser instead of the normal spread of 7.5. You know, gun to my head, if I had to choose one side or the other on the spread here, it would be the Packers, and I would encourage everybody to go listen to Eli and Mo on Beat the Closing Number on the Monday show to hear all their reasons why, if they're betting the spread, they're taking Green Bay plus 7.5 here. But I just have every confidence the Lions are still going to win this game. So I went the other route, and it was also because there's other teaser legs this week I feel strongly about as well. But I would never bet the Lions -7.5 in this game. I'll just say that.
Yeah, Adam, if, you know, again, like we say, it's, you know, not sometimes not the greatest, you know, whatever. I know it doesn't pay out at full, whatever. I get it, guys. Like I said, you can save the angry tweets. But if we do go in and if we wanted to play, you know, if we think there's going to be points and we want to kind of avoid some of these key numbers and things like that, I mean, you know, you can get Lions -5.5 over 42.5 up to +130 in one of these same game parlays. And this is just an example. I'm not saying that that's the one that you have to play, but you're getting it under the two key numbers of 7 and 6 with the Lions. Then you're also getting it underneath the 43-44 from a key number standpoint from a total. So I would recommend that if people are just looking for action in these games, there are ways you can kind of tell a story of how you think the game is going to go through one of these same game parlays. And the other thing is you don't always have to make these 6, 7, 8, 9 legs, guys. Like, you can make them 2 legs if you want to, right? So that's the other thing where I think people get a little confused when you instantly think same game parlay is a lottery ticket, but you don't have to. Like I said, this just manipulates it to +130, but you're getting Lions under 7, under 6, and then you're getting the total under the 43 and the 44 as well.
Guy flies to Louisiana for Thanksgiving and is going through all the different same game parlay options that he doesn't have in Las Vegas. You love to see it.
But Adam, your thoughts on that though? I mean, I think that there's a way to tell a story to how you think this game is going to go and bet it alternately, the way that you maybe wouldn't do it on a normal week.
So let me give you an example from another program that I do, and I'll give a shout out to Judah Fortgang from Pro Football Focus here. He builds a lot of these same game parlays based on tails angles, right? Angles that are not going to come up fairly often, but when they do, you're going to get a pretty good reward. And you can talk about a 2-leg same game parlay that he looked at last week where he said, you know what? Even though Tommy DeVito is terrible, you really can luck into certain stats in the NFL, and quarterback passing yards is one of those. If you hit the kind of pass that can be one of those 10-yarders that gets taken for 80, and he played a Giants alt spread -5.5, and Tommy DeVito to go 250 plus passing yards. Well, here's the thing. It didn't hit. It missed by 4 passing yards total. And you know what that was on a 2-leg same game parlay build? 170 to 1. And it doesn't have to be that big, and it doesn't have to be that much.
Yeah.
But when you tell yourself a story the way we're talking about telling yourself a story, which is to say there are going to be points in this game on both sides, then you can start to build from there.
Yep. It's just something to think about. Again, we know you're going to be betting. We know you want action, so there are just alternate ways to go about it, and it doesn't always have to be a lottery ticket. You can certainly you can play it a little closer to the vest sometimes as well.